Hi guys, welcome to Investing with JYK, and today we'll do an update on the Primero and First Majestic Silver merger. So I posted the news on April 9th saying that potentially you can get 200% annualized. That number is actually misleading now I think about it, because the way I did is that I only need to I can actually leverage up in the sense that I can borrow against my other shares to sell AG, to short AG, and then use cash to buy PPPMF. So that's I think that is the wrong way to calculate it for most people. So I basically redid the numbers. Now, the news closed on May 9th. So it says on May 9th, blah, 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 something will happen. And this stuff eventually closed on the 10th, I think. So actually, I should add one more day in here. Hold on. Should be one more day. Okay. So how does this closing work? So I wrote to the investor relations contact for First Majestic and asked them what happened with the merger, and I was told that 5 business days after the closing, PPPMF will be converted to AG. And so then I added these numbers up. I went through each day's closing price. It's actually really difficult to get the closing price. I had to look at the graph and then just hand transcribe the closing price. And for AG, it's much easier because you can use Google Finance to do that. So, for example, you could do something like Google Finance, like AG price, and then something like A2, and then A23. That's fairly easy. They give you all the trading days closing price, but for PPPMF, it doesn't quite work because the price is so low. They are actually quoted to 4 digits after the decimal, and Google Finance only gives you 2 digits after decimal place. So I actually had to transcribe all these numbers. Okay, so what we did to explain what happens in this thing here, let's make it bigger. It's a little, yeah, it's good enough. So assume you're gonna buy, you'll be able to buy 3,000 shares of PPPMF. That will cost you about $500 ish. And I ran out of battery. Very easy. Okay, back online. So that is around 20 cents, so you divide $600 ish, right? And to offset that, we will short the appropriate amount of AG. You could short, obviously you can't do 99.75 in most trading platforms, but you could do 99 or 100. It's about the same, or you could do something like a different number in PPMF so that AG becomes whole shares. But the point is, you short this one at the same time as buying this one. So I would first buy PPPMF, as this one is much less liquid than AG. So once the buy succeeds, I would do a market short sale on AG. So assuming we get the closing price, which might not be true, but it's not going to be far, your profit is just going to be the cash you get from the difference between the cash that you get from shorting AG and the cash that you use to buy PPPMF. So I would multiply number of shares of AG times the closing price of AG and subtract the number of shares of PPPMF and multiply by the closing price of PPPMF. Okay, so that gets you the profit. So for the capital employed, I am assuming that you end up with basically very little leverage, so you're gonna use essentially half the money to buy PPPMF and then use another half to short AG, depending on how much the broker lets you borrow in this case. And in this case, let's say you essentially your leverage was going to be about 25%. It's fairly low. That's what I assume now, but previously I was assuming for my own scenario, I actually can borrow against a lot of shares. That is so that actually I can short more AG. But in this case, this is the capital that's employed, and then the gain is going to be G, column G divided by column H. All right, so and then the days until conversion was basically this date until the 17th of May. And that is 5 days after the closing, which is 10th. So 5 business days after that. And then we can get the annualized gain by doing the percentage gain to the power of 360 divided by number of days until conversion. So you can see that you get fairly decent annualized gain, except maybe on this day, 18th, where the price was especially close. And on the good days, you were able to get like 100% plus. There's another low day, 36% only. But on the last day, obviously, people won't know, except if you ask them. They told me that it was likely to close on, what was it? As early as next Monday. So that would be May 7th. They expected to close on May 7th, but that didn't happen, so it actually closed on May 9th. Actually, May 10th. The permit was received on May 9th. So that was nice in the sense that if you could have still a couple of days to buy. I didn't, because I ran out of money. But if you did, you are looking at a 200% annualized gain, because this is still fairly significant. If you do, this 34.98 divided by 1331.58, you get a close to 3% difference in the share price. So that was nice. And so yeah, so this whole thing has concluded. I'm expecting my AG shares, which are converted from PPPMF, to hit on the 17th of May, and then I just call the broker to collapse the hedge, because I would have like a bunch of short AGs and a bunch of long AGs, and I would actually want to just close the hedge entirely and have 0 AG total. And I should get myself a nice, I think I got something around 3 to 5% overall for 1 month, April 9th to 1 month and a bit. and essentially no risk. I think this is fairly good. So yeah, so that's the update. And for the future, I think the next one that looks fairly decent, make it slightly smaller, 150. Yeah, this one is now concluded. I should do a strike through. Format strike through. Yay! Completed on May 10th, 2018. Great. Now, next one that I have my eye on is this guy. This First Cobalt and US Cobalt. And at the moment, wow, this is fairly optimistic. Obviously, we didn't take into account the leverage ratio that brokers will allow you to take. But if you just look at the actual price, it's fairly attractive. 1.5 for each share of US CFF, US Cobalt, you will get 1.5 shares of First Cobalt. And if you look at 1.5 shares of First Cobalt, that's 90 cents. And this stuff is only 75 cents. So I think that is the next thing I would be looking at. I'll probably do that for my next arbitrage. And then in terms of this one, which also looks good, but it's actually tiny percentage gain. And also, in order to tender your shares, which is May. Oh, you can no longer tender the shares now. I think it was should be like the last day should be the 9th. But anyways, if you were to tender the shares, I called my broker and found out that usually takes about $30. So if you're looking at 0.16%, you're not gonna make much. So this one's probably, let's say, completing on May 14th, 2018. So that was the last day of the arbitrage. Sorry, of the tender offer. Yeah, so a new one popped up. I think it was this guy. At the moment, based on their assumption, it should close by July 30th, like end of July. That's what they assume it was going to be. So that might be interesting. And this one is a hostile takeover. Yeah, so that's a hostile takeover. You should you should be very careful about these things. It may just fail. So okay, so this is the arbitrage update, and hopefully this is useful.